yet another wonderful time to come your way once again as we learn additional mathematics. My name is Nana Yawedu, and you can call me Say Nana. Remember to share, like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment when you have any problem or you want to ask any question. And then remember as well to click on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to get the next video when I upload it. In our previous lesson, we have considered the distributive property of binary operation. And in this lesson, we are looking at the identity and the inverse element. And we would zoom in and concentrate on the identity element whilst we consider some examples for us to be able to understand it better. So let's look at the identity element. So for identity element, we basically have a property where we are dealing with the identity of a number. But then we will deal with it in terms of the basic operations first. So the basic operations will include the addition sign, we have the subtraction, we have the multiplication, and then we have the division. And we are saying that for the identity element, when we are dealing with an operation like the addition, for instance, let's have any number. So the any number, let's use 10. So you can have 10 as a number. And then we are looking for a particular number, which will be the identity, that when we add to the 10 would produce the same number, which is a 10. So think of it. What number can we add to 10 to give us 10? We know that that number should be 0, right? So when we add 0 to 10, that gives us 10. So the 0 here represents the identity, right? So the identity is just a number that when we add to another number will give us the same number when we are dealing with it in terms of addition. Now let's consider some other examples when it comes to identity element. So for instance, if you have 7, a number that we can add to 7 to give us the same number is 0, right? So 0 represents the identity, right? So for instance, if you have a fraction which is 3 over 2, we can add 0 to the 3 over 2, and that 0 represents the identity for the 3 over 2. However, as well, when we add 0 to it, will give us the identity. And even for larger numbers like 1,200,000 and 453, when we add 0 to it, we get the same number, 1,200,000 and 453. So 0 represents the identity. So we can see that 0 is the identity under addition, right? 0 is the identity under addition. Now let's consider when we are performing multiplication. So when performing multiplication, any number that when multiplied to a particular number produces the same number is the identity. So for instance, if we have negative 12, when we multiply it by 1, it gives us negative 12. So our 1 here represents our identity, right? So let's consider other examples. So for instance, if you have 7, when we multiply by 1, it gives us 7. So the 1 here is the identity for multiplication, right? So that is the identity. Now for a fraction 3 over 2, when we multiply by 1, it still gives us the same fraction 3 over 2. So we can say that this one as well is the identity. For half, when we multiply by 1, it gives us half. So 1 is the identity. And then for 1,200,000 and 453, we can multiply by 1, which is even larger numbers, we still get the same thing. So we can say that for multiplication, 1 is the identity for multiplication. So I believe that you are understanding what the identity is when we are looking at examples, right? Now let's consider when we are performing division, right? So when performing division, we can have any number. So for instance, if you have 10, what number can we divide by the 10 so that we can get the same 10, right? So when we divide it by 1, it gives us 10. So therefore, 10 divided by 1 is 10, right? So the identity here is the 1. So 1 represents the identity, right, for division. So for instance, in these examples, when we have 7, 7 divided by 1 gives us 7. So 1 represents the identity under division, right? So when we have a fraction 3 over 2, when we divide by 1, we know that it gives us 3 over 2. divided by 1. And we know in operations, when we have division, we can change it to multiplication. So we have 3 over 2 times 1 over 1. So 3 multiplied by 1 gives us 3, and then 2 multiplied by 1 gives us 2. So we get the same 3 over 2, right? So we see 1 as the identity for division. Then when we have half, when we divide by 1, it gives us half. So the identity is still 1. And then even for larger numbers, we will still have 1 as the identity for division. So we know 1 is the identity for division, right? So in concluding, put in the comment section, I want to find out what will be the identity element when we are considering subtraction, right? Try it, use some examples, and then let's see what will be the identity element or the identity number for subtraction. So basically in this lesson, we have considered the identity element, and we have used some examples for us to be able to have a better understanding of what the identity element is. In our next lesson, we are going to deal with variables under the identity element so that we can give a general rule or general theory when it comes to identity element. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember to share this video. See you in the next lesson.